All right, guys, this is my Oppenheimer spoiler review. So if you've not seen the movie yet, go see my non-spoiler review or just go see the movie and come back and watch this one. So overall, this movie doesn't really have as many spoilers as the other movies I cover. There isn't really a whole lot to spoil in terms of what happens. We kind of know what happens. Kind of the timeline and how they pace it is kind of the spoiler. So this movie kind of jumps around timeline-wise. It's a little bit more of a biopic than I expected. It kind of shows Oppenheimer's life in college when he was younger, kind of going through the Manhattan Project, and then after the Manhattan Project, it kind of jumps around. So it's a little bit confusing at times, but it's a little bit more of a biopic than I expected. I think the movie is incredibly well paced and incredibly engaging for a 3 hour movie. Not only a 3 hour movie, but a 3 hour movie without really any action. I remember seeing Endgame and, how long that movie was pretty much the same length. And considering this movie has obviously no action and is mostly just people in rooms talking, I thought it was really well paced. I wasn't really bored. I was a little bit worn out at the end, but that's more of a personal thing, just being there for 3 hours. I think most people will be totally fine with it. There isn't really a climax to this movie other than the testing of the atom bomb itself. They don't really, there is not a scene of them actually dropping the bomb. So if you're expecting that at the end of the movie, that does not happen. I expect some people to be underwhelming by, I guess, the lack of a climax scene or a huge CGI sequence. This movie has no CGI in it. It was a real explosion. I guess it's not as massive as some people might expect. But again, I think the acting is so good in this movie, it doesn't really matter. And I think most people will be very happy with it. I was a little bit confused by this movie being rated R. I think it was actually a huge mistake to make it rated R. I think it's going to cost them a lot at the box office. They're already down 150 versus about 88 to Barbie. A lot of people aren't going to bring their kids. Not that kids would see this movie anyway, but the fact that it's rated R cuts a lot of the box office out. Other than a few topless scenes, a couple of sex scenes, and a couple of curses, there's really no reason for this movie to be rated R. So if you're expecting any kind of goriness or bloodiness from the atom bomb or seeing people kind of evaporate, there's a couple of instances, but really not that much. So I thought that was very confusing and kind of a mistake. I think at times it's kind of hard to separate Cillian Murphy from Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders. He's always smoking cigarettes the way he's walking. I kind of feel like the lines kind of get blurred, so I think some people will see that. But overall, I don't think it's a huge issue. It's just kind of a nitpick. One other small complaint is I think there might be too many famous actors, specifically someone like Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, in kind of small scenes. I think sometimes it distracts you from the scene and you expect them to do more because they're famous and they don't really do as much, and it throws it off a little bit. Overall, I'm going to have a much more in-depth spoiler review on my YouTube channel, as I can only do 3 minutes here. I'm actually going to do a TikTok live. So those are my spoiler and non-spoiler reviews. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.